Hi, my name is Steve Stine from guitar-Zoom.com, and today we're going to be talking about how to set up a proper daily or weekly practice routine where you're going to be able to see results. All right? So by the end of this video, you're going to have an understanding of what I refer to as buckets and how to use those to set up a routine that works for your particular path, your particular guitar journey. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, it doesn't matter whether you yourself practice 15 minutes a day or 4 hours a day. It all has to fit into what your routine is, right? But the most important thing is you're practicing things that need reinforcement, and you're also bringing in new things that motivate and expand your vocabulary of what it is that you're trying to do, your achievements. So I've come up with this bucket system that seems to work really well when I'm explaining it to students. So the first bucket that we dump into is called the influx bucket, all right? So this is where new ideas come in. And you have to be very, very careful with this bucket because if you fill it too much, of course, it's just going to overflow. And so what's great about the influx bucket is it gives you new things that keeps you inspired. It keeps you motivated. Maybe it's a new song or a new riff or a new lick or a new chord or a new strumming pattern. You need to keep new things coming into the system to keep you excited. If you're just doing the same three things over and over and over for 5 years, you're going to get bored. Now, you might need those three things, but you can always add little elements around it that maybe connect to those three pieces or those three elements that you're studying that make them larger or more reinforced or more colorful, more interesting, more exciting for you. There's all kinds of different ways to approach this. But be aware of that influx bucket, something new coming into the system. Okay? Then that dumps into the next bucket, which is the fundamentals bucket. This is where the practicing occurs. So you're working on a particular scale, or you're working on a particular chord, or a particular strumming pattern, or again, a particular lick, whatever it might be. The fundamentals bucket is your woodshed bucket, so to speak, where all of the practicing of this particular thing needs to occur to develop it, right? To gain confidence in it, to gain control of it. So it's one thing to understand something, but it's another thing to put it into process, right? Put it into execution. And the fundamentals bucket is where you churn and burn. That's where all of this stuff has to happen. Now, we're going to go back and talk about a daily and a weekly routine at the end of this video as well to try and help you get this set up. So now we're moving into the third bucket. This is the theory and fretboard memorization bucket. So this is where we start learning understanding of things, whether it's a mental understanding of it or whether it's a visual picture of it. Now, what's really unique and great about this particular bucket is that this can occur when you're not around your guitar. So oftentimes I'll hear people say, I don't have a lot of time to practice. Okay, but if you can find time to think, right? Or memorize, right? Use your mind, not just on, watching TV and again, I don't know anything about your life. I'm just saying that there are times when you can't be physically around the guitar to practice the fundamentals element. What you can do then is maybe I've got a few minutes to study this scale or to visualize this chord or these chord changes, or to listen to this song and visualize in my mind how these chords go in this song. I spend a lot of time in this bucket because if I'm flying or I'm traveling or doing whatever and I don't have my guitar with me, I'm obsessed with practice the way it is. So I enjoy doing those things when I'm not around the guitar. So by the time I get to the guitar, I already have a plan of what it is I need to do. I already see the element. A prime example is when I was in high school, I used to take my study hall once I finished all my homework and stuff. I would draw out, for instance, a scale, pentatonic or diatonic or whatever it might be. I would just draw it on a paper, and maybe I drew it beforehand. Maybe I've had it in my folder for a while, but I would take that out and I would study and visualize, how it went or different ways I could move and different things like that. So by the time I got home, I'd already thought about it. So that's the unique thing about this particular bucket is that you don't have to wait till you're around the guitar to utilize it. Okay? You've already studied the scale. Now you go to your guitar and maybe you start doing that fundamentals practice of what you studied when you weren't around your guitar. Okay? Then we move into maybe a little bit lesser bucket, but I still think is really important, is what I call the songs bucket. So this is where you're studying other people's music. You're learning other people's songs, solos, riffs, whatever it might be, so you can see the guitar in action, right? When you learn how to play a song by somebody, whether it's, or whether it's, just chords playing something, whatever it is that you like, you're learning how to do fundamental elements, visual elements, all of these things together in time with a tempo, right? And you're either doing it correct or incorrectly. Either you're playing it right, you're playing it wrong, you're not playing it fast enough, whatever these things are. And oftentimes when you're in the songs bucket, it will send you right back to either the fundamentals bucket or the fretboard visualization, or maybe the theory bucket, depending. So it's a great way of kind of sharpening your chops in a realistic way, learning how to play something maybe from the beginning to the end. So now you are learning how to play something that requires you to concentrate for 3 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it might be, okay? And then the last bucket that I think is really, really important is what I refer to as the creative bucket. Now, at some point in your playing, you're not just going to be learning other people's songs or something like that. You might start trying to implement your own thing. Maybe it's as simple as, learning how to strum to a song. You hear a song, but you're not sure how to strum, so you try and start figuring out how maybe the strum would go for this particular song, right? Or you're writing your own material, or you're learning how to solo, you're learning how to improvise. So you're taking this solo or this scale, whatever it might be, and you're trying to figure out how to interact with this backing track or whatever it might be. The creative bucket is very different because it's taking all of these other things that you've been learning and try and execute it in a creative way. And I think a lot of people don't get to that bucket. They spend so much time studying other things or practicing other things, and I think that's amazing, but they don't get to this last bucket. So that's why I've laid this out for you to start thinking about. Now, real quick, and I'll let you go here, daily versus weekly. Some people will go through all these buckets in a day, but realistically, sometimes that's not possible. So what I suggest is maybe the influx bucket you use sparingly. You don't want new stuff coming in every single day. So maybe the influx bucket happens once or twice a week, right? And that's it. Your fundamentals bucket, that really should be every day. This could be exercises, scales that you're working on, arpeggios that you're working on, chords that you're working on, strumming patterns that you're working on. Whatever it is, the fundamentals bucket is a core element, and it really needs to happen every single day, okay? And then we move on to the theory fretboard bucket, fretboard visualization. And again, I think this one is a great one to use kind of any time that you're not around your guitar and you've got some time to study, you've got some time to think. So it's almost like a free practice that isn't, the ritual of going into the studio or going into your room and, all this stuff that you have to do. You're thinking about it when you're not there. You're thinking about guitar, you're thinking about music when you're not in that ritualistic element of, where your guitar is and all that sort of thing. You're still thinking and you're still studying outside of that. So that's a really great way of approaching that one. And then there's the songs bucket. Now, again, I don't think you need to work on the songs bucket every day. If you're doing a weekly routine, you could maybe do songs on, Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that, Or if you're trying out for a band, right? Or you want to start a band of your own, or you're joining church or something like that, maybe the songs bucket becomes a really important bucket and it starts taking precedence over the other ones because now you've got a job to do. If you get hired to play with a band and they go, hey, here's a set list of 40 songs we need you to learn by next Thursday, and you have a week, well, that song bucket is going to take precedence. Song and fundamentals is probably going to take precedence over everything else. So there's real life things that happen, and maybe that creative bucket has to take a step down because now you got hired to do this job. It changes for all of us. And then, of course, the last bucket, the creative bucket, and this is another one where, again, if you're there in your playing, I would really strongly suggest that you practice your creative bucket every day, or at least commit to doing your creative bucket a lot, a couple, 3 times a week. Like, get lost in it. Just do some jamming over a jam track for an hour or two and just enjoy it. And if you find yourself kind of getting stuck, then you go, well, what am I getting stuck? Is it a technical thing I'm getting stuck on? Fundamentals. Is it a visual thing that I'm getting stuck on? I can't see the positions very well. Fretboard memorization. You see, they can all work in tandem with each other if you're aware of it. All right, so hopefully that helps you a little bit in thinking about how to put this together. Thank you for watching this video. If you're enjoying this video and you'd like to support the channel so we can continue to bring you more free content, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications and let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, if you'd like more in-depth training and courses, go to guitarzoom.com and get started for free today.